was beautiful. Thank you. It's time now for our children's message. So good morning to our kids who are here in the sanctuary and those who may be watching online. So today's story that we heard was one of Jesus' parables, and it was all about seeds. There was a sower, a planter, who went out and scattered seeds all over the place. And some took root in good soil and grew and thrived, and others didn't for various reasons. But you know, we can think about these seeds as seeds of kindness and peace, seeds of compassion and fairness, seeds of care and love for others. And part of our job as followers of Jesus, I think, is to become sowers of these kinds of seeds and scatter them all over the place. That's what the one thing I love about this parable. I kind of wanted to scatter seeds all over the place, but I'm not sure Rick would love that. Our custodian. Yeah. Sometimes those seeds spring up and we see the fruit of our labors, right? We see them flourish. And sometimes we don't know what happens to those seeds. And sometimes those seeds spring up in unexpected places. I was reminded by this a couple of times this week. One, my friend Phil over here told me about a gutsy radish. A gutsy radish that grew up in the cracks of the sidewalk in Japan. And people started to notice that this gutsy radish was growing. And by and large, the community took care of that radish. And they took notice of that radish when they walked by, and they kind of said hello to that radish, and it became an important thing in the community. And I love that phrase, gutsy radish, because it reminds us that sometimes our growth takes a little bit of guts, takes a little bit of bravery and courage and tenacity and willingness to step out of our comfort zone. That radish would have been much more comfortable in a nice bed of good soil, I'm sure. But instead, it found itself growing between the cracks of the sidewalk. And the other time I was reminded of this week was in my own backyard when some clover sprung up in the rocks and put out these gorgeous green leaves and these beautiful pink flowers. They're kind of the color of that Julie Kay is wearing this morning, that beautiful pink. And sometimes they put out yellow ones. We've had those too. And some people call those weeds. I call them wildflowers. Yeah, because I'm not all that great at growing real flowers that I plant, so I have to take notice of those wildflowers that spring up. And so we appreciate them and we take care of them, even when they spring up in the middle of the rocks. They're just gorgeous. And that reminded me again that you never know what might spring up in your midst, and a reminder of God's presence and love and creative spirit in our midst. So this week, kids, remember the gutsy radish, remember the pretty flowers that spring up in rocky places, and keep sowing those good seeds of love and care and compassion and peace and care for your neighbors, because you never know what might spring up in our midst. All right, it's time for our kids to head off to Sunday school with Mrs. Melissa, so you can head that direction, and I invite the rest of us to turn in our hymnals to hymn number 7.